Good evening, instructors. We're Team 19 and welcome to our Sprint 5 presentation. Once again, in case you've forgotten, we are developing an application that is going to be used by the Thon Technology Committee with the purpose of improving the organization/logistics of the Thon Dance Marathon event. In this sprint, we were focusing on implementing the search functionality. It was more complicated than we thought because there were points we had to take into consideration in order to sort both tables. We had to convert the indices of the filtered list to the model so that the actual table model was updated with this list. Second, we fully developed the assignment functionality. In our previous sprints, this function worked only to some extent. However, in this sprint, organizations are assigned to only one space, which no other organization has been assigned. However, one of the challenges we had was to serialize our data. For example, if users wanted to log back into the application, they would see a clean slate on the assignments that were previously done. This was something we did not get the chance to do. However, we hope to be able to serialize all this data as a side project as this semester is concluding. Third, we modified some UI fields in the main menu. In this sprint, users are going to be able to know that their phone numbers and positions are. We found this to be convenient since users would have to have some customization to their profile. On the other hand, we had some difficulties implementing the customization of the images and the table of Thon shifts because they are not simple text fields that can be edited. Also, currently the personal information displayed is actually just a filler for what the user should expect to see of their own information when they log in. Lastly, we developed the Thon Pass functionality. Our stakeholders are going to be able to see how much money organizations have raised during the year and also use this to assign floor passes. This was ultimately a major goal as it was part of our initial use case we came up with during the beginning of the semester. Moving on to our user-facing demonstration. First, begin the server to the database and create the connection to the Thon database. Now we can run the project. Here we are at the login screen and click the Submit button. In the main menu screen, we implemented a few items. For the users who log in, they will be able to see their user profile on the main menu screen. Here, user GBR5023 has logged in, and here's a picture. It lists the position as website manager, the contact information, as well as the shifts during the Thon weekend. In Sprint 5, we implemented the ThonRaiser functionality, fixed the search logic and added some defensive programming to the space assignment functionality, as well as edited some user interface details in the Thon Pass functionality. First, we're going to check out the ThonRaiser functionality, which was the first backlog item for Sprint 5. So let's click on ThonRaiser and click on Go. As you can see from the table on the ThonRaiser screen, you will see all of the organizations that are affiliated with Thon, as well as the amount that they have fundraised throughout the year for the event. For the ThonRaiser table, we have also implemented a search functionality. Let's say you want to look for organizations that have the word Kappa in it. So let's type Kappa and click on Search. All of the organizations that have the keyword of Kappa will be displayed in the JTable accordingly. The purpose for the ThonRaiser functionality is so that the Technology Committee can assist the Operations Committee in the assignment of floor passes for the event. Typically, the amount of Bryce Jordan Center floor passes that an organization receives for Thon weekend is contingent on the amount that they actually fundraise. So this functionality will also serve as a reference for the committees throughout Thon weekend in order to check that the correct number of floor passes was handed out. So now let's move on to checking out the UI changes in the Thon Pass functionality. So moving on to the Thon Pass functionality. In this user interface, for the list of committees, we actually changed the colors of some of the committees so that they stand out more on the window screen. For the radio buttons, we actually implemented them so that multiple of them can be chosen, and based on checking that if they are clicked or not, they will be notified. And a window screen will pop up saying that these committees were notified of the current capacity and that space was available. Once again, the ThonPass functionality merely simulates the ability for the technology committee to communicate with other committees that there is space available for more attendees to come in for the Thon event. So now let's check out the big changes in the space assignment functionality. So moving on to the space assignment functionality. Right off the bat, you see some UI changes for the space assignment screen. The window was widened so that the organization and space tables were less crammed together. The status label here has been updated to display the status of the most recent space assignment, as you can see here. Moving on to specific changes in the actual space assignment and search functionalities. For space assignment, upon clicking the Assign button, it checks to see if an organization already has a space assigned. If so, then it will notify you accordingly, as you can see here. This organization has a space assigned already. It also checks to see that the space requested has enough capacity available for all of the organization's members. If not, then it will notify you to choose a different space, as you can see here. Let's click on Alpha Phi Omega and assign it to 108. Now there are only 26 seats left in 108. Let's try to assign an org that has more than 28, so A7. Click on Assign. It'll tell you that space capacity is not enough and that you need to choose another space. For the search functionality, after typing in a keyword, the search button filters the table to display the keyword and to display the keyword matches from the table. So let's try Kappa. And it updates accordingly. Same thing goes for the space table. If we type in 109, it will give me the spaces that have 109 in it. You can then choose and assign a space from the filtered list. With these changes, the technology committee can now effectively use this application to do their most important job without facing any errors in space assignment. So now let's move on to the source code overview. Before going over the source code overview, I'd like to show that we have reorganized the entire Thon folder so that the specific types of classes are now separated into their respective packages. For example, controller classes are placed into the Thon controllers package, the Thon models are placed into the Thon models package, and table models and views are placed into their respective packages. So now let's finally move on to the source code overview. We'll first start with the classes that are involved with the ThonRaiser functionality. So we'll start with the ThonRaiser controller class. In its constructor, it prints out a message that the ThonRaiser controller class has been instantiated, and it also instantiates an instance of the ThonRaiser list class, which holds the array list of ThonRaiser objects. As well as with other controller classes, it also has a method to set the navigation controller to the parent navigation controller that is passed to this particular class when it is first instantiated. This goes for the rest of the controller classes as well. It also contains a method to create the ThonRaiser user interface. Another method returns the table model for the ThonRaiser. This is the table that holds the objects, the ThonRaiser objects, as well as the amount that the organizations have fundraised. It also has a method that returns the ThonRaiser list. Now moving on to the ThonRaiser list class. Similar to the space list and organization list class, the ThonRaiser list class also reads in a CSV file of the ThonRaiser objects and loads the array list of ThonRaiser objects with the CSV that is read in. This class also returns the array list of ThonRaiser objects, and that is the method in the ThonRaiser controller class that obtains the ThonRaiser list from. In the assign button action perform method, it checks to see if the current org already has a space assigned, and it also checks to see if the space that is requested for assignment has enough capacity to hold the current organization. Also, checking out the search org button action performed as well as the search space action performed methods. These methods use the search word keyword in order to filter the tables to see if they contain the keyword that is searched for. In order to properly assign what has been filtered in each of the tables, you actually need to use this method, the convert row index to model, because when you use the row filter, it only shows it in the view of the table. You need to convert the row index to model in order for you to properly assign these spaces.